You could have heard this episode 48 hours early on our Patreon, patreon.com/indieheadspodcast. By joining us for as low as $1 a month, you'll receive episodes early and gain access to our Discord server. All of our upcoming episodes will be up on our Patreon 48 hours before it hits our public podcast feeds. But if you're hearing this via our Patreon feed, we thank you so much for your support. We especially want to thank our Real Ones patrons, including Becca Etienne, Georgia Mikowski, Tyler, Marcy Anime, Chance Holdup, Delaney Miller, Rihanna Cruz, Josiah Duncan, Janelle LaFleur, Matt Cameron, Grant in the Back of My Dragula, Pablo Escobar's Hippos, Jackson Christ, Alec Felder, Sandy Nemo, Jeremy Bull, Drew Wharton, I Like Books, Jonathan David, Max Kapazinski, Mark Berry, Aaron Hillsamer, Darian Fisher, Cal 50, Noah's Refused Pimped Out Dave Matthews Event, Chris Wade, Jacqueline Kataga, Midwest Maxwell, Kevin John, Jake Wald, Erase Red Baby, Rob Marino, Max, Dylan, Waffle113, Gavin 490 Freak, and Maze Farms. To become a real one, consider supporting us for $5 a month on Patreon, where we'll receive a bonus episode every month and get a shout out at the top of the pod. Anyways, though, enjoy the episode.
Howdy to you.
Beautiful afternoon.
Yeah?
Sure want to thank you for driving all the way up to see me from that Publix register.
No problem. What's on your mind?
Well, now, here's a person who wants to get right to it. Kind of anxious to get to it, are you?
Whatever.
A person's attitude. A person's attitude goes some ways towards how a person's life will be. Is that something you agree with?
Sure.
Now, did you answer because you thought that's what I wanted to hear? Or did you think about what I said and answer because you truly believe that to be right?
I agree with what you said, truly.
What did I say?
That a person's attitude determines to a large extent how his life will be.
So since you agree, I guess you could be a person who does not care about the good life.
How's that?
Well, just stop for a little second and think about it. Will you do that for me?
Okay, I'm thinking.
No, you're too busy at being a smart aleck to be thinking. Now I want you to think and quit being a smart aleck. Can you do that for me?
Look, where's this going? What do you want me to do?
There's sometimes a buggy. How many drivers does a buggy have?
One.
So let's just say I'm driving this buggy, and you fix your attitude and you can ride along with me.
Okay.
Now I know a few things. I know you've had a rough day. You're probably thinking I don't know the half of it, but in the actual fact, I know every part of it. That business of having your laptop break, the heartbreak of seeing your friends doing podcasts, losing access to the podcast, realizing you don't have hardly a podcast to your name, and then add on to that the sickening feeling someone doesn't know what makes a good grocery store playlist. Some days are like that. They are rough, but what will tomorrow bring? Will it be better than today? Same? Or worse? A lot of that is up to us individually, up to us and our attitude. When the Castigliani brothers said, this is no longer your podcast, they meant it. But they didn't mean that you were not going to be on it. I want you to go back tomorrow. You were refiguring the playlists anyway. Audition a bunch of people for the part. You see those Hall & Oates fellas, though, you will say, these are the guys. The rest of the playlist can stay. That is up to you. But John and Daryl are not up to you. Now you'll see me one more time if you do good. You will see me 2 more times if you do bad. Good night. Okay, let's go with it. This is terrible.
Love this one.
Hi, it's Matty. Welcome to the Indieheads podcast. What the fuck was that?
Well, yeah,
What the
see,
fuck
none
was
of you
that?
are cultured. I knew that. I was worried this was going to happen, but just
No,
some of you people have not seen David Lynch's seminal masterpiece,
Mulholland Drive.
Mulholland Drive.
That's the cowboy speech.
I just
Rose
really
is the
wanted.
cowboy.
I just saw in my head this vision of like I got to do the cowboy bit with Zach, and I was just like, that's what we're doing.
Much like Mitski, Rose had to be the cowboy.
That's right.
Oh my
That's
god.
right. I know Zach has an acting background, but I think Rose should consider it too.
Yeah, it's funny that Zach makes his triumphant return to the podcast, and immediately we get the most theatery we've been in months. Is that rock?
Listen, exactly.
Hey,
2
anyways.
people are really going to enjoy that bit. Okay, 2.
I enjoyed it. I didn't know where we were headed with it, but the payoff was good.
Oh God. Well, anyways, welcome to the Indieheads podcast, everybody. Of course, I am here, your host Matty, here with Rose, Jackie, returning to the pod, Zach, and also making their first appearance in quite a bit, Ian. Special guest Ian, welcome back to the pod. Both Zach and Ian, of course. I think the last time you were on, Ian, was it 90s rock number ones, or was it car commercial?
Me? It was 90s rock. It was the episode when Gavin got eaten by a bear.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I didn't contribute anything.
I
was the worst part.
As much as the core dynamic of the three members of the trio is like essential to that series, every episode where one person is missing and either doing transmissions or being lied about where their whereabouts are is always really, really funny.
Oh,
Alex's transmission episodes are all classics.
But Zach, first pod in like 2 years, maybe
something like a year and a half. Like the last one that I was on was the last episode of Car Commercials with Hannah Jocelyn, which was a long time ago.
Yeah, so well over a year and a half. So here we are, and we are here today because of you, as you put together a playlist for us. What are we talking about today on the pod?
All right, this playlist is titled "Thank You for Shopping at Publix," and it introduces what I believe is a brand new space in the Indieheads podcast space-time continuum of guys. And Ian came up with this name, not me. It is Storecore. Now,
I did. I'm sorry, I did not come up with Storecore. That was, I don't know if you guys are you guys familiar with the rapper Belak?
No.
He was a really popular Storecore rapper. He was murdered when he was 8 years old, and he was really depressed.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, Jesus. That sounds terrible.
It's the 1 star bit. I forgot.
No, it's not.
Okay. It's one about Liz.
Oh, whatever.
Goodness.
Oh, God.
Anyways, continue, Zach. I'm sorry I cut you off. I just had to correct you there. I did not come up with that.
It's okay. You're getting credit because you're the first person I saw use the term. Yeah, this playlist was inspired by the music I hear on a daily basis, working at the Publix here in Old Trolley Road in Somerville, South Carolina. And 9 times out of 10, I actually like working there, but the music got me thinking. And here's what I think. Storecore is a missing link in the evolutionary chain, web, vortex, whatever the hell we want to call it, of all the music we've been covering on this podcast lately. You want your butt rock? I hear The Reason all the fucking time. It was one of the first songs I heard on my first shift at this Publix. Car commercials, Lumineer, The Steel, they're all here. 90s number ones, U2, Counter Crows, R.E.M, we got them. And Maroon 5 are all over the fucking playlist. I swear I've heard 4 or 5 different Maroon 5 songs in my time at the store.
Yeah.
It's true.
I have heard Maroon 5 a number of times at the Rock and Roll Ralphs.
I think the crucial thing about this, the new frontier that we're unlocking through this playlist, is that we haven't been able to do any real 80s music because there aren't an 80s alt rock list the way that there is for the, like, we don't have playlists easily made for them, so there's a lot of songs in here that are guys and types of song that we like haven't been able to access yet, and it's going to be very, very fun. I'm excited. And also we're a real dive into some guys we've been obsessed with but haven't really done the deep dive on, for example.
And I just
go ahead, Matty.
I was gonna say, just to iterate, I think with this one, I texted this playlist to my ex-girlfriend who works at a Wegmans, and she was like, "Okay, yes, these are all like grocery store core, but Publix is like is just slightly different. Like this is it's a classier, like this is a classier playlist than other grocery store playlists you're gonna get.
It is really fucking smooth.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to answer some very important questions on today's podcast. For instance, what if there was a Caribbean queen?
I mean, the thing that gets me is, like, this is so smooth, but there's so little yacht rock. Like, we've not even breached the yacht rock iceberg, which scares me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It is funny that there isn't any on this playlist. I mean, there easily could be.
Yeah, that's
there's
the thing.
There's borderline, but not quite.
And there are a lot of we walk up close to the line immediately.
Yeah, I was going to say there are a lot of glaring omissions on this playlist. I'm also a little bit of an expert on the subject because my father actually is active duty. He's a grocery store manager. That actually, I had a joke planned for this episode. I haven't told it yet. I should have told it earlier, but that was another joke that I just thought of. You're welcome for that one. But I am sort of an expert on the subject. I tried to get insight from him. He didn't really tell me anything. I just went through the playlist, and once I mentioned Paul Simon, he kind of nodded his head a little bit, and then he told me, "Don't worry, Be Happy" is a good one. But that's not on this playlist. But he insists that that's grocery store music.
There is like. I was suggesting this Barrington Levy song called "The Vibes Is Right" because there is this sort of like smooth reggae stuff that kind of does blend into the sound of what defines storecore in a weird sort of way, like what we'll see with whatever. It's an interesting zone that we're gonna end up in, and we'll talk about it as we go through. But I unfortunately don't have any personal experience because when I was working in the coffee shop in college, there was a period of time where we had normal just kind of pop radio, but before we had the pop radio, there was a period of time when they first opened the remodeled coffee shop where for like 4 months they were only playing violin string covers of pop songs that were fully instrumental. And
Vitamin String Quartet.
I remember you told me this, and I was like, "Oh God!" I remember you told me this, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
It was a change that got made because like people were like, "This is driving us insane." Like anyone who has to work here all the day, like it's not relaxing, it's not classy. And the funniest part about it is it was at the exact period of time where I don't even remember what the playlist was. I truly have like blacked this out like a trauma memory. But the one thing I remember, because of course I can't forget this, one of them was a cover of Despacito. I swear to fucking God.
I don't have any.
Oh, that's insane.
I don't have any particular store playlist memories that correspond to the material we're talking about today, but I did work in a pizza shop where like twice a night I would hear the following 3 songs: 4 or 5 Seconds by Rihanna and Paul McCartney, Drake's One Dance, and then Ed Sheeran's Shape of You. Those 3 songs on repeat forever. It drove me insane.
Also, I want to do this because I've been doing this breadcrumb for many episodes, and I want to continue to tease this.
Okay.
When I worked the Madonna shows for 10 nights, a thing I'm going to keep building up to until we eventually do the Madonna episode, and I will talk about it in depth on the podcast. But one of the funniest things about the Madonna nights is A, there is no opener before Madonna, and B, can you guess what the playlist is in the venue for the 2.5 hours before Madonna starts that people can be in the venue? It's all Madonna songs. It's nothing but Madonna the entire time you're there. Of course.
That just rocks. That just rocks. Like, you're here to see Madonna, so of course you want to listen to Madonna, and there you go. I mean, like, come on.
Like, if I'm not doing the one you want to hear, bitch, hear it in the lobby before you come.
2 things before we start in earnest. One, my personal theory is that in much the same way that all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares, I think most of the categories discussed previously can be storecore, but not necessarily the other way around. I'm interested to see what you guys make of that. And 2, upon further reflection, the most glaring omission, I didn't include a single Jack Johnson song. That guy has had stores in a death grip for 20 years.
Yeah. Well, he's the uniting force between grocery store and coffee shop. You know what I mean? Like he walks that line between them.
Definitely.
But yeah, let's get into the list proper. Zach, what is the first song on the playlist?
The first song on this playlist is by the artist I've probably heard the most unique songs from in my time at Publix. It's Kiss on my list by Daryl Hall and John Oates.
This is the best one. We kind of are breaking it right off the bat.
I mean,
I wouldn't say this is the best one. This is top 3.
No.
Top 3 for sure.
Here's the thing about this song. This song has unlocked me. I think the key to storecore is that this fucking piano riff, there's something about it, and there's a couple other songs in the playlist that hit this exact beat. The idea of pushing a shopping cart to this song is the most satisfying thing in the whole world, and it's because of the you hear that piano riff and like all of a sudden the shopping cart that you're pushing, you're just like gliding. Like it is just the best. I don't know. This song is amazing. What do you say about it?
I can't deny that. Honestly, it's probably my least favorite of the Hall & Oates we have in rotation because there's also Private Eyes, Man-Eater, I Can't Go For That, which are all generational songs.
I want to be clear. These guys, the best guys. I want to make that very clear. I've
certainly
did a bit for them for a reason.
Rose is about to go off.
I have a very sincere love.
I was going to. Oh, sorry. I didn't know if Rose was still talking or not. I was going to say very similar to Zach. Heater. It's a heater, obviously, but when I listen to it, I can't help but think that the instrumental is a little too similar to Private Eyes, which makes me think about Private Eyes, and I think Private Eyes is definitely a lot more anthematic. It has like higher highs than this one, but it almost makes Kiss on My List a little more perfect, because I feel like the idea of like grocery store music, I don't think you want anything that's like too catchy, anything that like you don't want the whole store to be singing. It's just like nice background music, you know?
No, exactly. There's something very soft about all of it, and it all has to be like you're grooving the fuck out, but you're not really like all the way taken there where it's like distracting everyone. You know what I mean? Like you're pushing your shopping cart and you're vibing. That's what they want you to do. And like hearing this piano riff even before he starts singing, I'm just like, yeah, no, this activates some like Neanderthal thing in my brain that's like, yeah, I am gonna buy those frozen pizzas. Like, I don't know.
I mean, who wouldn't? You hear those boys going off, and it's like, yeah, that's Hall & Oates, dude.
That's probably the end goal. Like, we don't want you to think too hard about what you're listening to. Just focus on your grocery list, maybe get a few things you don't actually need, and we'll keep it pushing. Because, like, if I had $1 for every time a customer has told me, like, I asked them, did you find everything you need? Every time they say, and plenty I didn't need, if I got $1 for every time they said that, I could retire early. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, again, if there's one hypothesis that's unrelated to what we're talking about today, it's that customers are the worst people on the planet.
Oh, of course.
Oh my god.
Yes.
But the other great thing about the song in that regard is that like it's the perfect kind of shopping core song lyrically, because it's the kind of song that just has kind of such a way of repeating itself without.
Oh my god! Wait.
You're just sort of like your kiss is on my lips. It's just like over and over and over again in a way that allows you to kind of like completely fucking drift off in thought while you are pushed, because you're both like aware of what he's saying, and at a certain point you just like subsume all the way into a vibe and stop even hearing the words. Like
Jackie, you just made me realize I thought we were thinking the same thing, but apparently we weren't. You just made me realize Kiss on My List, my shopping list.
Yes. It says list. Your Kiss is on my list.
Anyways,
I feel like it's time to do the most important task, which is a power ranking of all the Hall & Oates singles that we all know.
Let me see.
I mean, let's just knock it out.
I can't go for that's the best one. That's all I know.
No. It's Private Eyes. It's Private Eyes.
Nope. I disagree. I can't go for that.
I disagree.
That's the one.
I can't go for that. Is really good. I mean, You Make My Dreams Come True is a banger, but I think this song being the pick is the perfect example of what defines storecore, because You Make My Dreams Come True is like a more famous song, but that's like a rocker, where this is a shopping cart pushing song.
You Make My Dreams Come True just reminds me too much of that scene from, what was that, fucking 500 Days of Summer, where he like has sex and then everybody's celebrating.
How do you remember the music cues from 500 Days of Summer? I just blocked that out of my mind.
Because there was a whole dance sequence because he had sex with the girl, and it was set to that song.
Never seen that movie in my life.
I actively try not to think about it, so I don't remember this stuff.
One second. There's a Hall & Oates song and/or album released by Light in the Attic
This year.
This year. Hang on. You guys keep talking. I got to research this. Also, this album cover. Holy shit! Look at this fucking album cover.
Oh my god!
The Daryl Hall and John Oates self-titled the Silver album.
Stuff.
Yassified Hall & Oates.
Oh, literally. Oh my god. Okay, keep talking. I gotta look into this whole Light in the Attic situation with Hall & Oates.
No, this is a great song. Like, it's a great way to start things off and really like set a template for like what we're thinking of in particular with this sort of playlist concept. And like you're saying, from your experiences at Publix.
Oh my god.
All right, let's move on to the next song.
Hall & Oates on Bandcamp. What?
Oh, what the fuck?
Crazy.
Jesus Christ.
Literally.
Okay. Earl's Closet, the lost archive of Earl McGrath.
Okay,
so
it's
like,
a compilation.
Oh, they're just on a compilation. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Still, it's so funny that there's a Hall & Oates song on Bandcamp.
No, that is hysterical to think about.
They're DIY.
We have to. There was a path I was about to go down, and we can't go down there. Anyways, moving on to our next song.
All right. Next song on my playlist is I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I think this is my number one for the playlist. There's some nostalgia tied up into it, but I just really think this song rocks. It's Caribbean Queen (parentheses No More Love on the Run) close parentheses by Billy Ocean.
This song like kicks my ass.
It's so
it
good.
really does.
I think I'd only heard this one like twice ever.
I don't think I knew anything besides the chorus before like yesterday. But I feel like I've known it. Well, I mean, I have known it my whole life. But also, like, you couldn't tell me what any of the words in the verses were before this.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
But, like...
Yeah. Some of the nostalgia I have for this is, like, back when I was a real little kid watching Nick at Night, one of the shows that was in rotation was Everybody Hates Chris, and I remember an episode that had this song involved in the B plot. So that's where part of that comes from.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, Nick at Night.
But also, like, I think this song just fucking rules, and we need to salute Billy Ocean's hustle. We need to salute his hustle because he recorded several different versions of this song, just replacing Caribbean with, like, European or African, just to appeal to as many markets as possible.
That rock.
European Queen.
I mean,
Chubby Checker.
God, I was about to say, following in Chubby's footsteps.
Oh, and this chorus is just undeniable.
I mean, there's a lineage down generations from Chubby to Billy to LMFAO, all the different in your city tricks, you know? Like, there's a long and storied history of customizable songs.
Before I put the song on, I got Billy Ocean mixed up with somebody else. I got him mixed up for the guy who did what the hell was that song? I Ate You for My Breakfast.
What?
I think
this is one of your like weird. This is one of your blues guys. I gotta imagine that we don't know.
No. It was a Music League song.
Marvin Seas. They have similar names, similar last names at least.
Yes.
Ocean.
Oh my God,
Seas,
it was Marvin
I
Seas. I Ate You for My Breakfast. Yeah. It's a song about eating pussy.
Oh,
nice.
Very good.
Hell yeah.
Probably won't be hearing that much. If you listen to
Marvin Seas has an album called Candy Liquor, The Sex and Soul of Marvin Seas.
I'm sorry, we cannot
Marvin Seas nuts
over Zach hearing that and just replying, "Oh, very good."
No, it's good.
It's killing you.
I mean, he's right. You should say
my
it.
mind here, Rose, the first song on the 1994 album Candy Liquor by Marvin Seas is "Do You Need a Liquor?" ?
Oh my God. Jesus.
I didn't even mean to start this.
Fuck?
I thought everybody remembered this guy. He was like I forget which league it was, but he was like one of the top songs in our league.
We've done like 16 or 17 music leagues, Ian.
Song 10,
things are a blur.
Song 10 on this album
so blurry?
is I Gotta Clean Up, which I think is really funny. To start your album with "Do You Need a Liquor?" and then by track 10 you're like, "Man, I gotta clean up. Like, I gotta get my life together."
I'm deeply disturbed.
Oh God.
I don't want to listen to that song. I'm scared. Anyways,
back to Billy Ocean. This is a good song.
This song rocks.
Billy Ocean's awesome.
This song is. I said the other song is my favorite of the list. I think the other song is a better storecore song as opposed to this being a better song as to something I would just listen to now because it's really fucking good. Like, this is. I pulled up the as I was pre-gaming for this. I pulled up CVS Bangers. I pulled up just the Spotify playlist of it, but
yes.
of course, anyone who isn't familiar with that, I actually hadn't really listened to it before working with Luke, and there was one day where we put on the CVS Bangers mixes in the office, which is, of course, playing CVS core songs and putting Trapaholics mixtape ad-libs and transitions into it, which is fantastic. But there's a lot of good songs on there that we can kind of discuss some sort of should have beens. But There was one song on there that they put on there, which is "Pull Up to the Bumper" by Grace Jones, which I think is too cool for Storecore. I think that's my official line, where it's like that's just too good of a song. Like maybe it got played in grocery stores at a certain point in time, but I feel like Grace Jones categorizes as being too cool to sort of categorize it. But like Billy Ocean is on that line in a perfect way, where like this is way more like tasteful but it also still hits that like smooth brain, just like so satisfying. It's really well done. Like there's a lot of like texture to the rhythm of this song, in addition to having that kind of just really catchy do like little lead to it. I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
We just went Billy mode.
Yeah, the first
we're going Billy mode.
I will reveal sort of where I there were no songs I like really disliked in this playlist, but there was a stretch run of this playlist to start it out where I was like floating on a cloud. Like the vibe did not get disturbed even a little bit for an extended period of time. I was really locked in.
Oh yeah, I was locked in for all three of these first three.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So let's keep it rolling. The third song on this list is a very close runner-up to the Caribbean Queen, in my opinion. I'm, of course, referring to The Way It Is by Bruce Hornsby and The Range.
Yeah, this is one of those songs where it's like, as soon as I'm like, wait, like, what's the song? And then as soon as I hear that piano thing, I'm like, wait. I'm like, wait a second. And then...
Something shifted.
Something shifted.
I had learned this before, but even having learned it, every time you go back to it, you forget exactly how much it really doesn't even interpolate it. Like, it is just the whole song with Tupac. It's basically a Tupac remix.
Wait, really? Is that what this is?
This is Changes.
Yeah. I'm not.
Yeah, that's what I know this song.
Hey, I'll play Changes after this.
I've never heard that, so I wouldn't know.
Oh wow.
It's one of those ones where it's like you probably hear like as soon as you hear
listen.
No, it's Rose. She listens to it.
I'm gonna play it anyway. But
I can't. Rose, I'm sorry. I really hate to do that. One broke my brain more than anything in Best New Podcast. Like I'm fucking reeling right now. I can't describe to you. Being from Los Angeles, California, just have someone say, I've never heard Changes. It's like air. It's like oxygen. Like,
I just can't relate to this
also,
at all.
I will say, because the songs are so similar, it's like, if you've heard this song before, right? Like, you've heard this somewhere ambiently in public, Rose. Have you?
No.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. I'm impressed. I'm genuinely impressed, because this song is, like, just burned into my brain so much that that's what I was saying is like it's the kind of sample that like when you learn it doesn't stop blowing your mind, because every time you go back to it you're just like, oh yeah, fuck, it was a song already, but somehow still Tupac totally, like, it is the perfect example of a sample being it be having a completely different tonality when Tupac is rapping over it.
I get that.
Exactly. But no, it is still incredible how fucking just like perfect this piano lead, like it is just a beautifully written song, and also establishes we start to get into another kind of core principle of storecore, that not all storecore has sax, but if you want to bust out some sax from here to now, like that is always a good
it's the most non-offensive instrument to have.
It's true. Not going full Kenny G mode with it, but having a really that's like the thing. This is like a very tasteful storecore playlist. Like this is very much like,
which seems to be in line with Publix, where Publix is like a lot classier than like other grocery store chains.
We'll get to certain songs later on the playlist that more identify this, but like having like young childhood memories, being raised by whatever West Coast California parents, like there's just certain songs on here that hit the exact zone of like things I would have heard around the house as like or in the car as like a very young child. But
yeah, let me play the Tupac Changes.
Yeah, I've never heard this in my life.
We'll use the sample.
I have never heard this in my life.
Just wait.
Just wait for him to rap.
Never let him spread a beat. Come on. I see no changes. Wake up in the morning and I ask myself. Classic.
Yeah, I will say I partly had Tupac ruined for me by
on a sports team where someone was we had a coach that would play the same Tupac CD, I forget which one it was, in the weight room like every single day, and it like started to become like, oh my god, I became a little bit of a Tupac like whatever contrarian for a while, but then I came around to like, wait, no, Tupac is the best. Like he's never been my like favorite rapper, but like I have a very strong appreciation for him at this point.
This user is from Los Angeles,
I'm
California.
Still just like, nah, what?
Weirdly, I gravitated toward East Coast hip hop a lot when I was first really getting into rap music, because like West Coast rap music was just kind of more around, whereas like I had never listened to Wu-Tang or Biggie or any of that. So when I was 13, like that stuff felt like a real discovery for me, as opposed
it's like forbidden fruit, you know.
Exactly.
Forbidden
No,
fruit,
like
East Coast.
and so like that's why I would
even though this is probably like the late, like the early 2010s, where like
Matty,
the West Coast East Coast dude had ended.
Matty, what I'm describing now is the reason why I then immediately got into Joey Badass. Like this is the era we're talking about. Like it's the faint like final whiffs of sort of 90s revivalism we get before it circles back around to like Griselda being a thing now. But
God.
Yeah. Which, by the way, speaking of Joey Badass, at some point I took it off the schedule, but at some point next year we will be doing a Rap Forum Veterans playlist
of
songs from my Rap Forums era.
I'm so excited.
Has Joey Badass put? Oh, he did. Wow.
This year.
I know, but the thing is that remember he delayed it because of sample clearances. Air quote.
Sample.
Because Kendrick announced that his album was going to be coming out in the day that Joey Badass had already announced his album for, and then so it came out in September instead.
Honestly, I feel like Joey, he could have released at the same time. I think it would have been okay, considering how much that Kendrick album kind of left the public consciousness.
I don't want to listen to this album. Chris Brown is on it. Come on, Joey Badass.
He like defended it too. Like he did like a Red AMA. He defended it. It was bad.
Oh, that sucks. I really, well, I mean, and he called it 2000. Like he's,
it's pretty, yeah. It's
1999 is still,
it's a cash grab.
1999 is still good too, which is such a fucking bummer too. Like I went back to it and it's like, oh no, this was actually good. I mean, like part of it is good because like they rap over an MF Doom beat, whatever. Like they're kind of cheating at some capacities, but like.
What song were we originally talking about? I don't remember.
We were talking about The Way It Is by Bruce Hornsby.
Okay. We had to go back up through the inception though.
We fell into a ditch.
Yeah. All right, Bruce Hornsby, The Range. This song rules. I only recently, I mean, I knew this, but like one time when I brought up The Range, the electronic producer, I had someone be like, the Bruce Hornsby band. It's like, no, it's a different thing. But I was
going to make a joke about that group.
They do kind of have a similar like emotional tonality, which is I think the thing that I'm sure The Range's name is like kind of inspired by that. Whatever, like these piano chords could be on a Range song if you put like a UK dubstep beat over them. You know,
I believe that.
In a similar way, Jackie, to the way you said that "Pull Up to My Bumper" is like too cool to be like grocery store core. I feel like this song is almost like. Forgive the terminology, I'm going to use it very loosely, too woke for grocery store core, because this is a message. This is a message song.
It is.
This is civil rights.
But it is also in the category of message song that is capable of not disguising the message, but just like delivering the message in a way that people can just completely turn their brain off and not receive, you know? Like you can just hear this as a in the corner of your brain as you're looking at like a different cereal options to pick between, you know, like you can completely the message can completely bounce off of you in the way that people can listen to Rage Against the Machine and take a different POV than is implied. Like
Rage is that's still wild though, that some people like. It's just like
they talk about it in the band, not the 60 songs that explain the 90s episode that Rob Harvilla did on a Rage song, and it's like he basically compares like I forget which Rage song they picked, but like a Rage song and Cop Killer by Ice-T, and it's like politically they are essentially the same. It's just that the Rage just does just enough poeticizing that it's like the enemy or whatever. It's made vague just enough that in the same way that like right-wing guys can be like right-wing is the new punk, whatever. They see themselves as anti-authority because they pretend like the wokes are the authority, you know what I mean? Like the self-victimization complex. Like there's just enough tiny little bit of non-subtlety in Rage Against the Machine to allow people to co-opt it. But that's a different conversation. This is more like a message song that's presenting itself in a smooth and easy to consume musical package that allows it to just like glaze past people. That I'm sure there are lots of like whatever right-wing people that would
fucking Hannity used this as the intro music for his show for years.
Exactly. It's like fucking whatever, like Donald Trump using like Bruce Springsteen or fucking people that go to Pink Floyd concerts and act surprised when Roger Waters opens the show with a 10-minute monologue about like, fuck you if you're a Republican, get out.
I mean, subtlety is dead. So.
It is. It's what Lana Wachowski taught us.
Subtlety, of course. Let's move on. Let's move on to our next track. Zach, what is up next on the playlist?
We are about to enter choppy waters. This song is called Mercy Mercy Me / I Want You by Robert Palmer, and it is my least favorite song on this playlist by a mile.
Okay, good, same.
I
like,
disagree.
This genuinely took me out of the vibe I was in last night when I was listening to this playlist.
I really like this one, so I disagree.
I couldn't disagree more. This is not my favorite one. This is the one that made me think of the Barrington Leving song. It's just so fucking... I love stuff that's smooth in this completely cheesy way. Like, I love it.
I just don't like that one particular texture, that ding, 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 ding. It's too stabby.
No more white people. No more white people doing soul music.
I disagree. I was about to say this funky ass white boy's busting it down cultural appropriation style, and I'm here for it.
No, but like I was listening when I was listening to this playlist the first time. Like one of the things that really took me aback is just like how much Tom Hanks' voice, he's white, is on grocery store playlist.
Oh no, 100%. Like that's it's a lot of like. I mean, we'll get to it with Paul Simon specifically, but
I mean, are you all familiar with the niche genre term for what Hall & Oates used to be called?
Blue-Eyed Soul?
Yes, that is indeed it. It's just like, oh god.
Which that's what Maroon 5. That's at least in the early days. That's what they're considered.
Amy Winehouse too was someone that got that. It's just like literally white people doing black music. It's just
again, it's like a real eye roll.
It's way even grosser than world music. Like there was the famous David Byrne essay where he like published an op-ed that was like why I hate world music, and it was like the clickbait headline to get you to read the article. It's like the genre title is racist and stupid.
Exactly, like David Byrne understands.
We'll get to that when we talk about Paul
I am
Simon,
surprised to get this much pushback on this one because I think this is just dreadful.
No, I love it.
Like,
what?
No,
the two component songs
I'm
here
sorry,
are like...
you can't say that, Zach, when you put fucking Peter Cetera and UB40 back to back. I'm sorry. You can't say this is the worst one when you have that.
But
we'll
like,
get to the ones that are
they're run of the mill bad. They're run of the mill bad. I think like this is just a complete misunderstanding of what made the original songs so great. And the original songs are two of the greatest songs ever recorded. I just hate this with every fiber of my being.
I guess not having the strong relationship with the original songs is probably why it doesn't feel like an offense to me, perhaps. But
yeah, same.
I find this to be the kind of like schmaltz that I love so much. Like this is very soothing, even though it's like. I think partly because normally with this kind of music, you would want some actual, like, more raw sexuality than Robert Palmer is giving you. But, like, I think there's something about the sexless sexuality of this song that makes it storecore. Like, it's so horny, but you could play this in a grocery store and no one's gonna, like, be disturbed by it. But it is an approximation of, like, I brought it up before, but if you're listening to this, actually, Matty, you can play it. Can you pull up the Barrington Levy song? If you want to hear the sort of non-cultural appropriation version of what this is doing, it's very, 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 very good, and I've been listening to it recently a lot, right around there. But
it's just like the white British soul thing where like they just hoot and holler over the whole song, and there's no subtlety. It just really misunderstands what makes it work.
But there's something about like these songs that like all these songs are real like sweeping emotional ballads. They have to be very like moving, but also in a way that can float into the background of what you're consuming. You know what I mean? Like it can't be so it can't be so emotional that you're like tearing up in the grocery aisle, but it has to be moving in the right way that you're gonna like feel the ambient effect of it being on, as opposed to it fully floating into the background.
We will talk about white Brits doing like their best Motown impersonation later on this playlist, but I want to say it's very funny that I can talk out of one side of my mouth and say this shit sucks, and then talk out of the other side of my mouth and say George Michael is a genius, because like if you boil it down, you can make that accusation.
Totally. I mean, that is the thing with all of this stuff, is that it's just, especially with this kind of music that like is so about tapping into the animal, the little monkey clapping the cymbals together in your brain, you know. It's like we all understand, we can all make like various cultural arguments as to which ones of these songs are like the most tasteful, especially the ones that are like appropriating music from other culture and how they're doing that. But there's the whole other question of like, do these songs make the piano chord machine in my brain go burr, you know? Like does the song slap or not? Does the song make me want to buy the full package of high chews? Yes, absolutely. Like
slap is a bit of an aggressive term for what this playlist is going for.
Although I will say that the Hall & Oates song is a perfect example of exactly how close up to the line of a song slapping you can get in the grocery store. Like Kiss on My List is a song that is like so close to being a wedding song, so close to being a song that you could like play on a dance floor in that sort of a situation, but doesn't quite cross over that line of like people should be drunk to listen to this, you know? Like that's why it makes the perfect storecore song, is it gives you as fun of a time as you can have in the grocery store without like tipping over the line of getting too excited and we're gonna tip over the displays and things, you know?
We're gonna start raiding the snacks aisle.
Yeah, we're gonna do like what Stone Cold and Booker T did back in the day and just have a street fight in a grocery store.
We need to bring that back.
Oh my god. Let's move on. I think we should move on to our next song though. This is one that I don't think I had heard at all. Not even as like a deep.
I hadn't either.
This is one where I was like,
I have a close personal connection to this song, but we'll get into it.
All right.
but what's song number 5?
This song is by Mr. Mister. It is called Kyrie. Go ahead and roll the clip.
Now, I know I make everything about being Greek. However, my dear mother, who's also the biggest George Michael stan in the world, she's like the de facto like source of information on George. Obviously she grew up in the 80s, so this was one of her songs. This is one of her dearest, most favorite songs, because in the chorus, the part where they say like Kyrie eleison it's a prayer, but it's like Greek, and it translates to like Lord have mercy or something like that.
I think so, yeah.
And that's why my mom likes it, because it's a good Greek song, even though nobody in the band is Greek.
Now I feel bad for saying that I don't like this song.
I was about to say the same thing. Is Ian, you're setting me up to be mean to your mom. Like, how could you do this to me, Ian?
How could you do that to Denise?
This is okay.
I'm sorry, Denise.
I think
I'm so sorry.
To your mom.
This chorus stabs me in the ears, and the little key change is like nails on a chalkboard at the end when he goes up. It pisses me off so bad.
Yeah, and this is the perfect example of like the 80s drums just like being so on the nose while not actually hitting in a way that just makes it like obnoxious. I don't know. I really did not care for this song. This song is like we have Kenny Loggins at home. Also, I was like, much like Kyrie Irving, this song fucks up the vibe of what's going on in the playlist, because this was I was really locked into I was locked into a good zone, and all of a sudden this song came in, and I'm just like, oh wow, this is like the kind of storecore that, like, if this had been on a playlist of stuff that I hear in the store, it's not like terrible, but it's just like, it only reminds me of songs I actually like, while also being really loud, and like what Zach was saying about the Robert Palmer song, that is like yelling the whole time and not getting anything out of the yelling and just feeling like, dude, shut up. That's kind of how I feel with this song.
But but he's having a very emotional moment in this song. Listen, it's my fault it's my fault that I was raised on like the type of 80s music that's like dead center in between like new wavy synth pop stuff and like hair metal, like that sort of like crossover side. That is what I was raised on.
Ian, you don't need to explain it to me. We both have Eurotrash in our bloods. I understand.
That's right.
On a deep fundamental level from across the sea over here in Italy. I get it. You know, it's just not my bag per se.
The representative from France would like to speak.
Go.
Oh, you're going to talk stereo like the show tonight.
Oh wow!
That wasn't even the joke I was making, but sure.
I mean, I just didn't remember that you were French, and now whenever you're on your stereo lab, whatever, I can just be like, oh, ho, ho, ho. Anyways, continue.
Do fromage, things of that nature.
But, yes. This is still in the zone of just like, oh, these textures are a little too strong for me, and I was like completely kicked out of whatever vibe I was in, and did not get catapulted back in until we hit Paul Simon.
You know what it is? It's like a kind of song where you can tell that the person that's made it has a really strong understanding of pop culture, but then they're trying to synthesize a bunch of just like anthemic pop songs into one thing, and it's like you're pouring in like 3/4 of one like crazy anthemic song and then like 3/4 of another, and it's like you've taken a couple of strong flavors that you've identified from big pop songs, and you're just like, I'm going to put a little of that, a little of that in there. And it's like, you've added like 200% of song into a song.
Too much paprika on the sandwich.
That's exactly
and thus
it.
The Powerpuff Girls were born.
Overwrought is the word we're looking for, I would say.
The other thing I want to say is this reminds me of a song I loathe, which is Toto's Africa. That song sucks.
It does have Toto Africa vibes. I will admit that I was one of those people that liked Toto Africa, liked it when it was a reference on Scrubs, unfortunately, and then liked that song and was like, it's fun to like this song because it's kind of corny or whatever. And then the moment it became a meme, and then the moment that Weezer co-opted it, I was like, abort. This song sucks, actually. However, and this is a song that is a perfect example of a song that's a little too rockin' for this playlist, but is a fucking anthem. Hold the Line by Toto, one of the greatest songs of all time. So good.
Hold the Line's great.
Also.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, let's go.
We're gonna have a brief interlude to watch a grocery store fight between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Booker T. One of the last great segments of the Attitude Era, I would say, before they got into the Ruthless Aggression era.
More like Storecore
He's
Steve
kicking him into
Austin.
the Wonder Bread.
Hang on, we just gotta. This is a great cinematic moment here. We got a brief.
This is incredible.
Oh, he's right behind me, isn't he? But this is in 2001, where it's like, okay, that's okay. But here's how you know here's how Booker T knows. Just listen for 1 second. You hear that beer can open up? And Booker T knows exactly he's fucked.
Yes!
He played that incredibly. He turned exactly slowly enough.
Booker T is a national
Pro wrestling's
treasure.
the best. When pro wrestling is good, it's the best shit ever.
Yes.
Ketchup on Booker T.
Honestly, if wrestling were just this right here, I would watch it all the time. Just this.
I'm trying to think if there's I would say AEW doesn't really get in that level, unfortunately, but like
Just
does some
people
crazy
fighting in
shit
places
still.
that they should not fight. That's all I know.
I could also watch Stone Cold particularly just keep running over to the counter and grabbing different things just for like 2 hours and just like
pouring flour on Booker T now.
doing different
After pouring mustard on him.
doing different food puns every time he grabs another thing. Like,
This is just insult to injury.
oh, he's putting him in the shopping cart. Oh, we're just watching wrestling now.
I mean, why shouldn't we?
This is how I tell you guys finally on wrestling. It's just no.
There's just been a big lack of frozen pizzas in the wrestling I've seen before this, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if it had
Oh, they're in
that,
the storeroom.
I would
They're in the storeroom.
Yes!
Oh, he's
he's
gonna
gonna
throw him in the
kingpin him.
freezer.
He's-
Oh my god.
He's gonna kingpin. Oh, never mind.
He threw him in the walk-in freezer.
You gotta lock that door, Booker. You gotta lock that door.
Oh no.
He ate out of the milk. The milk closet, just drinking some milk. Oh my! Oh, here he goes.
Oh hell no! Is he gonna
He's
put the
putting-
conveyor belt? Oh hell no!
On the conveyor
He's
belt.
moving.
Oh my god! Up. He fell off the conveyor belt.
I mean,
Police sirens are coming. He's fucking running.
This is brilliant stuff. You gotta admit, this is what we come here for.
Oh my god!
I
Incredible.
mean, you came close to wrestling killing me just because by that being a Jackass segment. Like, that was just Jackass.
It's just
Exactly. I
Jackass.
just want to see people.
Which there
get
was
hurt and
Johnny
play
Knoxville
Knoxville
games.
was
did
on
wrestle
WrestleMania.
at WrestleMania this year.
I watched that clip and I loved it. If the Jackass boys were on wrestling all the time, I could get into it. You know.
That is fair. That is fair.
That's fair.
To
Anyways,
get us back on the road here, I'm just going to say before we move on, Broken Wings takes this song's lunch money. Anyway, number 6, Paul Simon, You Can Call Me Out, needs no introduction.
So I like Mercer's Me. Kyrie was like, okay, here's a bit of a downturn. It lifts me back up immediately. This is again, white boy busted down cultural appropriation style. We love it.
I mean, what do you even say? Graceland is like just one of the best records there is. It's just,
I'm
gonna listen to that on the drive tonight because I'm just like I'm in that mood.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
there are plenty of
Graceland is-
songs that there are plenty of songs I've gotten tired of through overexposure at work. We're going to get to one of them shortly, but this is not one of them. Like, this and the title track are in constant rotation, and I've never gotten sick of them.
Y'all
They
get
are
Graceland
perfect
at your
songs.
store? Y'all get
Yeah.
Graceland title track? That's crazy. I've never heard that in public.
Yes.
This is the one track that used to play. I'm famously known for my one retail job was at a bowling alley. So that's what I'm most famously known for. And this is the one song that we played at the bowling alley. But we had like the overhead like TVs with the music videos, so I got to see Paul hanging out with his good friend Chevy Chase like almost every shit.
The uncanceled Chevy Chase. Everyone loves Chevy Chase. Everyone
Yeah.
loves him. He's never done anything wrong in his life.
Exactly.
It's cool.
I mean, I'm just a big sucker for like all that solo Paul Simon stuff. Like, I really love One Trick Pony. That is one of my deep guilty pleasures of just like, this is silly dad music, but God, I love it.
Is Paul Simon a crazy ass white boy? Have we discussed this?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
Although-
Yeah.
I mean,
like-
if you've ever heard the title track on One Trick Pony, you would know that man is crazy.
This is the second time I'm referencing this in like a month because I just re-listened to it and it's a great fucking episode. But the Blank Check episode stopped making sense. There was a period where they're talking about just Talking Heads in general that I've been thinking about a lot because it's a great conversation and they never talk about music on that podcast. But like they compare David Byrne to Paul Simon and the difference between Paul Simon hearing South African music and being, that would sound cool if I put it on my album, and he was correct. That did sound good. Versus the difference of Talking Heads, like actually feeling like they had ingested the music themselves and were then like taking the ideas and using
And
them
bringing
in a
some
way.
of the musicians on tour with them. That's like a key.
That too, 100%. Yeah, they were much more actively engaging with it as opposed to Paul Simon being like, "You made this.
This is mine now."
I made this." Yeah, exactly.
Like
Paul Simon has been spotted at Elon Musk's family's diamond mine.
Oh my god! Now, I just
man.
realized I'm gonna bring it up again. I was gonna say this for the episode, but I'll just another thing because this is reminding me again. One of the 15 insane things about the Madonna show that I could tell people about is that there's one section of the show where all these fucking like Spanish guitar players and dancers or whatever come out on stage with her. And at one point during this little like intermission section of the show, she's like, I was in Portugal, I think it was, and I just saw this beautiful cafe of musicians in this band, and she's just like, I am taking you on a world tour with me. Come along, all of you. I'm putting you in the Madonna van, and I'm gonna pay you to be like part of my stage show. And it's just like, can you imagine being those fucking people? Like Madonna in like 2015 shows up in your cafe in Portugal and is just like, you know what, you people, I'm just gonna like use you as set dressing. Come along now. I'm gonna pay you more money than you've ever gotten in your entire life. Like, what the fuck what is your life like? What is that? I just couldn't believe that was true. And it's like, that's kind of the attitude of it's just literally him being like, oh, well, I'm coming to your country and I've got a lot of money. Like, your music's cool. I'm going to just like take it and bring it over there and people will like this. Like, and thinking that that's kind of like a noble, I mean, with Madonna, like she's employing a lot of musicians and like, that's actually good. But like, it is still sort of this very like, hey, look at this cool thing I bought for you guys. Like, it's very strange.
So what
And
Madonna
that-
did
and those
exist at one end of this spectrum. On the other opposite extreme of the spectrum, we have Paul Simon refusing to credit Los Lobos for the instrumentation they did on the closing track of Graceland. And
Yes.
somewhere in the middle is A$AP Rocky designed to put some busker he found on the streets of London on six tracks of his album.
I forgot about that. Oh my god.
Hey, you guys remember he's still recording an album with Morrison?
The most
Are you fucking kidding? Oh my god.
Have we all
God
forgotten
damn
about
it.
First of all, I had forgotten about that. B, I also had forgotten about the fucking whole Joe Fox thing. And C, most embarrassing of all, I like the album that Joe Fox is all over. That's like the last A$AP Rocky album I enjoy.
There are good songs on it, but it's been
It's not a good album.
It's not a good album.
It is an album that I enjoyed at one period of time in my life. I was a senior in high school when that album came out. All right, give me some slack.
I would never give
Yeah, I
anyone
think you
slack.
should get a free pass on that one.
I was going to make
everything aside, all the discourse about Paul Simon in this record. This is just a great pop song.
It sounds great. No,
Someone did this at karaoke a few weeks ago, and I was like just vibing the entire time. It's so good.
I mean,
This
how do you
would be a
not
good
vibe?
karaoke
This is-
song.
This is good.
Yeah.
It is a tune for sure.
Yeah, but I guess that brings us to our next song. If we want to move on, unless we had anything more to say.
I was
but
gonna make
something
a Panda Bear I Live in Portugal joke when Jackie was talking.
I was waiting for someone to say that.
Yeah, it was Panda Bear. That was who
The band was Animal Collective.
Imagine that in a Adam Levine Animal Collective are badass, check them out sort of way. If Madonna just happened to like be somewhere where Animal Collective was playing a show and Madonna just sitting there watching Animal Collective, and somehow Madonna had not heard about Animal Collective for the last 10 years, like no one had ever.
Do you think she has heard about them? That's the real question.
I think maybe, yeah. I would guess so. But because Madonna is someone that's always trying to latch on to young, cool. Like she has Migos on her new album. You know what I mean? Like she's always trying to latch on to whatever young people music. But I like imagining Madonna seeing Animal Collective in like the year 2022 and like being like, I'm going to put them on an album. I'm discovering this band. And it's like, no, Madonna, like this is a thing that's already existed. Madonna's like, no, it wasn't. I never listened to this. Like her just being like, this is mine now.
God.
I mean, what I'm gathering now is they might need that kind of support considering the tour they just had to cancel.
Considering
That's
the
true.
great Migos schism of 2022.
Ugh, God.
I'm just imagining
Madonna, bring Animal Collective to Europe. That's your task now, Madonna. It's your
I'm
job
just
to fix music
imagining
industry.
Animal Collective making her sit in with them like they did with Vashti Bunyan on the EP, and just like doing making Madonna do Freak Folk in the year 2022.
There are some Madonna, as we go back into the playlist, there are some Madonna songs that could fit on here. Particularly Borderline is a song that absolutely could be Storecore, even though that's just like one of the best pop songs of all time. It's just enough.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've heard that one.
Enough.
I think we have Who's
Rose,
That Girl in rotation, but I don't know for sure.
Also, a song that is in Uncut Gems that also could be Storecore is, of course, Rain by Madonna. That could absolutely be Storecore, because that's the kind of song that is like so deeply emotional, but the production is so slick and smooth that like you can have it on both as like the song. It works both as the song that Julia Fox leaves playing in Howie's apartment to like show that she's mad at him, and also works as a song you could hear in Publix and have it not fuck up the vibe, which is a thin line to
I'm simply gonna not listen to the song just to make the Madonna episode more amusing.
I mean, Borderline, I think Alec Felder the other day said Borderline is his pick for like the best pop song of all time, and I think it's a very fair pick.
Yeah. Well,
all right, let's keep
back to the
rolling.
playlist.
Let's keep it rolling. I'm throwing
Rose Corner.
I'm throwing Rose and Red Meat here. Number 7 on this playlist,
since we started with Paul Simon,
is Shiny Happy People by R.E.M.
Yes.
From the record Out of Time, released in the year. Go on.
Available now.
I'm gonna make a guess here. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think this song is actually about being happy. I'm just going on a limb there.
That's crazy.
Well, from what I know about R.E.M., they do a lot of irony.
You know what, Ian, that actually reminds me of something I've been meaning to tell people. This is like a real gem I've like saved for the podcast. Not many people know this, but Hey Ya by Outkast. you think it's a happy song. Not as happy as you think.
No.
Oh my God,
I hear that,
crazy. I never would
thing.
guessed that.
See, if you really like dig into the lyrics, there's actually like an undercurrent of sadness to them. It's crazy.
But
Outkast is sad?
It's crazy stuff.
Wow.
You made people get people get sad sometimes? What?
It's fucked up.
Are you sure?
Yeah, R.E.M. does have a song about that. It's called Everybody Hurts, and they say everybody hurts sometimes.
You mean negative emotions are real and not just a thing made up like the Boogeyman?
Like the Loch Ness Monster in North Dakota?
but yeah, let me break it down here.
Rose Corner.
Out of Time, very, very... I feel like people will both over and underrate in the catalog, because like it has the classics, you know, it has all the ones that like everyone knows, but like it has a very unique virtue to it, which is the songs on it both like really suck and are also just the best thing ever. Like you can't help but be like, this is great. Like you hear Losing My Religion for the 40th time, you're like, this is kind of overplayed, but also like it's so good I don't care. And then you hear this song, you're like, this sucks, but also I love it. And similarly,
I like this one a lot. I love this song.
Yeah, I like this song. I just think like, I think like the ideas on this album are really stupid, but really executed well. Like the opening track on this record has a KRS-One feature that is one of the funniest
I thought that was on
things
Green. It's on this one?
No, it's on this one. It's the opening track. Like,
Yeah.
Oh my fucking God.
yeah, like one of the best choruses Michael Stipe ever wrote, and then one of the goofiest like
KRS-One.
like literally, Matty, skip to like the last 30 seconds of that song if you can. Just give people a taste.
A radio song
Yes.
or this song?
Radio song. It should
song.
be like the last 40 seconds or so. It's just really it comes in so.
What are you saying? What are you playing? Who are you obeying day after day in? Baby. Driving me crazy. DJs communicating.
This is happy. This makes me happy. Shiny happy people right here.
I will say this rocks. I like this a lot.
Is this what finally kills Jackie?
What a move to put that on there. The start of the record.
I like I mean, I was about to get to this with my take. I realized listening to this song something fundamental to my R.E.M. opinion, which is that I don't love Michael Stipe's voice, and that it sounds, but he doesn't have he has a great voice, excellent voice, but like there's just something kind of going back to sort of monkey brain stuff, just like certain voices just have real emotional resonance for some people and other people don't. It's like part of why music is so subjective is like the human element of like, and I think going back to my constantly whenever I bring up R.E.M, I have to bring up Radiohead, but it's just like I whenever I'm listening to R.E.M, I'm always listening to like the bass and the guitar and the drums and like listening to the song, which I really appreciate, and I've been getting more and more into R.E.M. But like I think Michael Stipe is a great songwriter, like a great writer of lyrics. I'm not trying to say he's fucking incredible, but like I just don't, when he's singing the songs, I don't always like feel it in my heart, whatever. And I think this song kind of, I don't know, takes advantage of that just in the way that it's like not, it's trying to be a song that just breezes right off of you in that kind of whatever way. And so I really do. I mean, I like the song. I think this is like, it probably toes kind of close to the line of sort of like we're talking about how rocking you can get, but I think it follows the rule that like if you stay jangly with your rocking, like you can't make the riffs go too hard, but if those riffs are jangling, you can get away with a little bit of rock and roll in the store.
This is a song about Tiananmen Square. Do remember
soon.
Oh, that's right. This is a song about Tiananmen. I mean, but that's like going back to the Bruce Hornsby, the range thing. This is less. I think the Bruce Hornsby, the range thing is a very sincere message song that just happens to be made in an era of smoothness, whereas Shiny Happy People is a band doing the kind of very intentional, we're going to make a song about a serious thing, but we're going to package it in the shiny package, and that's why it's called Shiny Happy People. Like
the smoothness is the message.
But I will say, as much as I was sort of clowning on it in the beginning with my hey ya joke, I will admit that like that trope wasn't as kind of worn down at the time that they did this as it is now. And so it's one of those things that I have to put myself in. Like, I'm sure for people that loved R.E.M, like, even though I'm sure some people were like, oh, they've sold out going this pop, like there is something kind of satisfying to be like, hey, this college rock band is now the biggest band in the world, and they're making music that sounds like it, but they're managing to sneak like their themness still in there. Like,
yeah, I mean that like I could get into it with like a whole like 3-hour spiel, but like the stuff they did as soon as they got into a major label is like absolutely insane, because like half of the songs on these records from this era are like they're not even playing their dominant instruments, you know, they're just doing whatever they want, and somehow they kind of landed on their feet.
What I was gonna say about this album, and I have to listen to it again. It's been a while since I listened to this album in full. So I'll just run this take by you, Rose. Do you think that this R.E.M album with the yellow cover, what's the name again?
Out of Time. Is this the God Save the Animals of the R.E.M arc? Is this them being like, oh, because it feels like it's both like their most accessible album, but it's got a lot of fucking weird ideas on it in the same way? I kind of, but like the thing about God Save the Animals is like it's a solidification of like Alex G is like the guy, you know, like he finally gets it together for an album. But the thing about this band is like they've had it together for like many albums, and like
at least
I suppose in a way like this is their getting it together of like the 90s stuff, because I think Green is way more of a mess. Like it's doing the same, you know, variation of ideas, but just like way messier.
So it's the rocket, you're saying?
Yes, essentially. Like it's the moment where you can like see it really culminate, and then after that is where you get the House of Sugar of their catalog, which is automatic for the people.
That's funny.
Right, there are two things
which is
I wanted to make.
The one I like a lot.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go on. I'm done.
All right. One, Rose could probably tell you more about this than I could, but this song is like notoriously hated by fans of the band, even by members of the band itself. They think that it's a song for wusses, pretty much, and I never got that. Because like there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here. Maybe it doesn't all work necessarily, but it's not soft like some of the other songs they would wind up making.
I agree.
And two,
I think that's just sort of
Two
90s brain
like,
self-hating.
I mentioned earlier that there are songs that I have grown sick of due to repeated exposure, like songs that I previously thought were good. The other R.E.M. song I constantly hear at work is Man on the Moon, and I have grown absolutely sick and tired of Man on the Moon.
Hold on, because that's my song. That's my song. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not
I
even
am
gonna...
pissing off Ian's family so bad this episode.
It's not even a family thing, it's a me thing. That is my R.E.M. song. Out of all the singles, Man on the Moon is mine. Like, that's my song.
Yeah, but like, if I never had to hear that little yodel Michael does on the last chorus ever again, I could die happy.
I like it because, much like our friend Ivan, I'm a big fan of alt comedy. And
go on.
No, I didn't know where to go from there. Just the fact that they talk about Andy Kaufman. No, but I like Man on the Moon a lot. I didn't get that kind of exposure to it, so my condolences to you, I guess.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Lots of people in the game of life, etc., etc.
Yeah,
so
but moving
things
on
of that
to
nature.
This next song, this next 2-song run.
Oh,
this
boy.
is
the worst on the playlist.
This is the one that like on repeat listens to the playlist. I had to skip these two. I just could not do it. These fucking songs. I hate my Peter Cetera hate is mostly derived from Todd and the Shadows' hate of Peter Cetera.
Take a shot.
And then UB40 is just like no. That's just like that as a band. That's a no. But we're gonna play them anyways because again, you got to include the good with the bad. This is, even if I hate these songs, they are very important to the grocery store experience.
It's the playlist guarantee. You got to play it, even if it sucks.
I pay money for you guys to listen to this playlist. We are playing all 12 of these songs.
Exactly.
Anyway, the next song on this list is called "The Next Time I Fall." Amy Grant is on this one as well. Peter Cetera is the main artist, and it's really bad.
Yeah, so let's hear it.
I mean, at least you're honest about it.
Wait, hold on. I'm looking at Peter Cetera's Wikipedia page, and not that this is like noteworthy or anything, but he's described as an American retired musician.
Oh wow! So I at the same time am digging into the biography of Amy Grant because like reminding myself like, do I know Amy Grant? Like, and then the starting line of her Spotify bio when they write their own bios and stuff like that. Although Amy Grant cannot claim to have invented the contemporary Christian music (CCM) (CCM), so they're abbreviating contemporary Christian music. She cannot claim to have invented the contemporary Christian music style of gospel music. She did the most to popularize it in the 70s and 80s before successfully crossing over to pop music in the 80s and 90s. Okay, sure.
Okay, that's kind of bullshit because like I'm reading a book about this guy Larry Norman right now, and he's pretty much the godfather of Christian contemporary. It's a very interesting book. I'm not quite finished with it yet, but yeah, like Larry Norman was the guy before Amy Grant was the guy. Anyway,
I knew it was bullshit before you told me that just by the fact that she starts doing the CCM acronym right off the bat in the bio. I'm like, what the
this sucks. The previous generations have failed us in many ways, but I think the biggest is giving like the guy who used to be the lead singer for Chicago a legitimate solo career.
Yeah, he didn't need that.
This was a number one song for months, I'm pretty sure.
Months? I don't think I know it. I don't think I knew it.
I earlier called the Greek song Overwrought, and I would like to apologize to that song, because this song is like the definition of what you would use the word overwrought for. Like, it is just laying it on so fucking thick, and it's like, dude, relax.
Yeah, I refuse
to calm it down even an inch.
This is like the other, like, my mom is also into stuff that sounds like this, and this is the side of her music taste that I cannot vibe with. I can't do fucking power ballads. Specifically from like the 80s and 90s, I can't do them. I'm sorry. This shit's
I'm just
cheesy.
very particular. Like, it has to be fucking like it has to be someone who has a voice that's so compelling that it's like an undeniable, like, powers through the cheesiness, you know?
It has to be George Michael and somebody else. That's it. That's all I'll do.
Like, his voice is the cheese on this song.
Yeah.
It's like every syllable, he's like, ah! Like, he's attacking the syllables.
I feel like that one of you who's more educated could make a direct link between this and, like, the butt rock Jarl. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, wow. No, you know what it is?
You're not wrong, yeah.
Here's what it is. Hair metal is the link.
Yeah, it's hair metal.
Yeah,
That's
you go
what
from
it is.
this to hair metal to with arms
this,
wide open.
In the same way that like the rise of kind of like Led Zeppelin and Iron Maiden leads to hair metal, like hair metal being the curdling of those sounds into something cheesier. That is essentially the same thing happening from Nirvana to butt rock. Like, right? Like you're taking the genre that's already and it's coming from a kind of more punk direction, and you're like, what if we made this hammy as all fuck? And I think the hamminess of this song is what connects it to butt rock in that way. But this is the bad kind of hamminess. Like if we were to make a comp to this is to smooth storecore music what fucking 3 Days Grace is to butt rock, you know? Like it's like you're doing too much.
It's bad. This is the worst one on the playlist for me. Like this one is just it's overwrought. Peter Cetera, I hate his voice. I hate his songwriting. Like this is this is the shit that like that pretty much like there's a like in terms of the grunge takeover in the 90s. This is one of the like the core elements of like why people were like so desperate for something new was like this shit being so goddamn popular, like these stupid shitty power ballads, like so bad. I will
say, while we're on the topic, the one power ballad that I not only love but like fully cannot resist and think is one of the best songs of all time, Total Eclipse of the Heart. Perfect song.
That's a great one.
Yeah,
that's good. That's what every power ballad thinks it is. Like that's the thing, is that like when you hit that level of emotionality that's being belted at that level of intensity, like it's absolutely insane. And I have a very good like Italo disco Eurobeat remix of that song that I like to play out.
Of course you do.
You know I do. Of course I do. But anyways, this song sucks.
Does George Michael One More Try count as a power ballad, or is it too slow for that?
I consider it, yes.
I think George Michael is another example of someone that has some power ballads in his discography that are and is one of the people responsible for the fact that power ballad. I think I was just talking about this the other day. I think Prince is the other person who's partly responsible for that, because Prince can rock the fuck out of a power ballad, but as is the case to this day, when people think that they can do the things that Prince can do, that's when bad music happens.
They're so wrong.
And likewise, people think they can be George, but not everybody can. I was born with it. I was born Greek, so like I don't have anything to worry about. Everybody else wants to be us.
No, Ian,
they hate us because they ain't us.
Right, exactly.
Ian, you 100% have that gay boy George Michael swag. I gotta hand it to you.
Thank you. It's literally transition goals to like look at least somewhat like him. So I appreciate it a lot. Thank you. My next goal after this is I think I've been told that like by the time I'm like in my 40s or 50s, I might start looking like Jeff Tweedy, and I already kind of see it. So let's see. Like mark your calendars. A couple of years from now, maybe I'll look like that.
We love that for you.
Ian, you are going to transform into one of the guys that you follow in your music. You're going to become whatever Joe Bootstrap Taylor or whatever, you know? Off the top row.
Oh my god. Okay, let's move on. Next song. Zach, what is our next song?
Let's get this over with. Number 9, UB40. I Can't Help Falling in Love with You. It's a piece of shit.
Boo. Okay,
UB40 sucks.
We can give. Okay, wait, no, Jackie, you go first.
I was just saying my one thought about the song as you're gonna get into the Elvis side thing, but just like sonically, like what this song is doing, the thing I kept thinking is like, what if Portishead was terrible? Like what if trip hop was bad? Is essentially UB40.
Yeah. Oh wow!
It's crazy that they have this many guys in the fucking band, and yet it sounds like this.
No, that's the thing that my whole philosophy, and I've honestly thought about even like writing some or like talking about this in relation to the Callous Cowboys album. Is it's like there is such a when you have that many people up on stage, it's either going to suck or be good, because there's either a bunch of people up on stage that are up there without really doing anything because there's no real rhyme or reason to like why people are up there or what's being contributed, or you just have too many fucking cooks in the kitchen. And like the most magical thing about bands like Slipknot is the idea that Slipknot can have 9 people on stage, and it never feels like they're stepping over each other, and they're always in like perfect lockstep sync, like they are a fucking military unit, and that's why they sound a million feet tall. But it's like when you see a bunch of people up on stage and they're making this weak ass shit that one guy could make with a drum machine and like a synthesizer, it's like that's because they're a bad band, you know? Like, and similarly, like Black Country New Road can get 9 people up on stage, but they can't make a good album save their lives.
They can't make a good song to save their lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta agree there.
I will reluctantly speak up in defense of Red Red Wine, which is a fun song with a fun story behind it, but this has no redeeming qualities whatsoever.
Of course, it's completely butchering any of the appeal of, like, this is such a sincere song. Like, you have to, in order to tap into the song, you gotta get
simple.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And
simple, minimal, and this just like tries to add too much fucking shit to the mix, and it's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Like, why do we have all these horns? Why is the beat so prominent?
You know
What's
what,
with the backing vocals?
This scene, going back to the idea of cultural appropriation, do you know what this song brought to my head is the scene in The Social Network where the fraternity has the Caribbean night. And there's like the waterfall, the Niagara Fall footage, and they're like, what the fuck does Niagara Falls have to do with the Caribbean? Like that's the vibe I get listening to this song.
If we're talking shitty Elvis cover, I asked Matty permission if we could talk about this, and I'm gonna bring it up now. Matty, search for Elert Pie-Alarm Jailhouse Rock right now. It's on Spotify.
How do you spell that? How do you spell that?
It's EILERT. EILERT. PI. Yeah, it's the second one there. Yeah, just look for the Jailhouse Rock cover. Yeah, there he is.
Oh my god.
This man is an Elvis impersonator. It looks like John Belushi is dressed up as Elvis.
God damn, Ric Flair's looking rough these days.
This sounds like
what is this?
This sounds like Simlish.
Yeah.
It's like when they have to put out those new Soccer Mommy recordings every year because it's like, oh, we made one in Simlish, guys, just put it on the soundtrack.
No,
have you all heard that Car Seat has this Simlish?
Yes, it's great.
It's terrifying.
It's a good sync. As again, being in the music industry, it's like, oh, getting like if the Sims are like, hey, can you make a Simlish version of your song? You fucking made it. You know.
Not only do they get the licensing synced, they also get paid to make it because they have to fucking record it in Simlish.
Yeah, I know. It's still just like a conceptual nightmare to me, though. Just like, God.
It is an
hearing a song
nightmare.
that's like, you know what it's supposed to sound like, but it's just like slightly off because
it makes me feel like I'm having a stroke every single time. That's what it makes me feel like.
Sick.
It makes you feel like the language centers in your brain are failing in real time, and like everyone else can hear this normal.
Anyways,
yeah.
I discovered that song because of Shuby Taylor. After we discovered Shuby Taylor in the Indieheads podcast Discord server, I went on a deep dive and I listened to the Songs in the Key of Z Outsider Music compilation, and that Jailhouse Rock cover is on there.
I tried to get people in Music League. I tried to get everyone by submitting Scatman at one point, but unfortunately, nothing could beat the surprise of being introduced to Shuby Taylor unexpectedly. Like that was so much funnier than Scatman because you've heard Scatman before, but you've never heard Shuby Taylor.
No, like nothing can prepare you for Wee Shishu Swa the first time you listen to it.
Jesus Christ.
All right, let's go to the next song, because that song is
next song.
We have a hard out to hit for Rose, so let's keep it pushing. Number 10 is probably one of the patron saints of Storecore, now that I think about it. Two Hearts by Phil Collins.
100%.
Bad guy. What?
Oh.
No, come on, you got Peter on the playlist. No spoilers, but
I'm not pretending like he's the superior Genesis guy. I'm just acknowledging.
I didn't even realize that. That's a good sequencing by me.
Good job, Zach.
I am not saying anything of the sort. I'm not a Phil Collins person by any chance.
He watched a man drown, and look how you're treated.
Rose, I am simply saying, I am a human being with one heart, and I am incapable of resisting the charms of Two Hearts by Phil Collins, which is one of the best Storecore songs of all time. This is close to Kiss on My List levels of shopping cart pushing.
No.
Shopping cart pushing ecstasy. I love this song. I think this is
This
so
one's
good.
fun. This one's fun. I like it.
Hall & Oates have white boy swag. Phil Collins is just a white boy. Does it make sense?
This is true.
I mean, that's fair. He doesn't. I'm not saying he has swag. There are artists who have zero swag who are capable of making like undeniable songs. That happens all the time in music.
Phil Collins has hits.
I will admit,
they're very good ones, but
This is I think one of the better songs of the playlist. I like this more than the Paul Simon song, for example.
Wow! Holy shit!
Jackie, why?
I like it more. It's monkey brain. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not a real like artistic assessment thing. It's just like this fucking chorus, especially like I have not listened to this song by choice on streaming probably ever, and yet my entire time listening to this, I was like, I can't fucking wait till I get to that chorus, baby, because I've heard this song plenty of times. I don't know where, I don't know in what context, and it's just a goddamn bop. I don't know what to tell you.
I didn't realize this was gonna get so heated. Oh my god.
Neither did I. It opened up a portal to another dimension.
I'm about to pass away.
I think the kind of galloping drums and guitar of this song is just it just keeps me in a groove the whole time, that in a similar way that the little do 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 like little lead of the first song. It's like, for me, my test for these in the way that like Cal 50 had his we had the test of the like, can you imagine yourself eating a hamburger at the water park sort of thing. It's like I was closing my eyes and I was gripping the shopping cart with either hand, and I'm pushing it down that aisle and imagining the trail mix and the different flavors of chips, and I was like, what song is gonna make pushing that shopping cart feel the most satisfying? And the answers
buy two get one free. Holy shit!
The answers were Two Hearts and Kiss on My List were the most shopping cart pushy songs of the bunch, I would say.
I told myself I wasn't going to get dill pickle chips, but I did it anyway. God help me.
Yeah.
Whereas some of these other ones, some of these other ones are a little more like The Way It Is and Marcy Me. That can be a little more in the direction of like a department store, you know? Like, you could be shopping for a suit at Macy's while those songs are playing, whereas I feel like Two Hearts and Kiss on My List are like grocery store. Like, you can feel the cold from the freezer aisle, you know? Like, I don't know. This is a very vibe-based assessment, but it's my.
Isn't every assessment we make purely vibes-based?
I was just talking about it on Twitter. It's the preferable way to categorize music. Genre is fake and dumb. Whatever.
This is true.
Yeah.
Like,
I will say though,
go ahead.
like I'm sorry. Like I said, you know, my dad is on the front line, and I read out some of the songs on this playlist, and the only one that he nodded to was the Paul Simon song. But then again, he did tell me that the 80s station stays on in his store. So
and this is on that fucking station.
I'm sure it is, but the only song that he nodded to is "You Can Call Me Al."
I will also say I did briefly get this confused with another song that I recently discovered this year. If any of you have never heard Two of Hearts by Stacey Q, that's another 80s banger.
Absolutely.
The thing is that I think this perfectly identifies the difference between Storecore, is that Two of Hearts is it goes way too hard. It's too horny. Like, this song is just like sexless enough that it both satisfies the groove quotient without like disrupting the vibe that is necessary for the store to sell their goods.
Yeah. Two of Hearts is like a Big Time Tommy song.
Oh, 100.
Take it easy.
1,000 fucking %. Yes. Only
And I say
freestyle classics.
I say this because my dad also big Italian man from Jersey also listens to freestyle music on occasion when it strikes him.
Hey, how you doing here? It's Big Time Tommy.
Tommy.
Here's
And
my
here's
All
my
right, we gotta move on. All right, we gotta move on. Our next song, Zach,
All right.
what is our next song?
Number 11, I'm giving you guys a chance to talk about one of the podcast's favorite guys once again. It is Solsbury Hill by none other than Peter Gabriel.
This is his best song. This is his best song.
Really?
I would agree.
I
It's
disagree,
I
but I
disagree.
understand it.
But I mean, Big Time is my favorite Peter Gabriel song.
Okay,
I love Big
actually,
Time.
no,
This is a great
I am
song.
a big time defender. I love Big Time. I mean, that record, like, you got Sledgehammer, you got Big Time, like, undeniable hits, and just as a whole, it's a very cohesive record. It's definitely his best. It's definitely him at his peak. But, like, Solsbury Hill's made me cry before, so that's, like, the
absolutely.
determinant that I'm using. I would also argue, obviously it fits in at the supermarket, but it's another one of those, like, gray area songs. Like, it feels very, like, AstraZeneca pharmacy, like, pharmaceutical commercial kind of vibes.
yeah.
Like, I'm about to hear, like, the side effects of my antidepressant right now.
Yeah,
All these, like, old people are dancing on a green screen,
This is by far the, like, most emotional song on this playlist, but it still has that kind of sheen that prevents it from, like, the song that it weirdly reminds me of in terms of, like, the melody chord progression is, like, this is basically the sort of iteration of, like, These Days by Nico is kind of what I was thinking of, but, like, if you turn that into the context of Peter Gabriel 90s kind of, like, this song is so fucking good. And
Yeah.
I said earlier that this playlist was, like, unlocking core memories. This song was the one that, like, I have not listened to this song by choice in probably a decade. I put this song on today for this playlist, and I was like, I heard this when I was less than 4 years old because I was immediately I was transported to the house that we lived in Pasadena before the house that we've lived in since. Like, from ages 0 to 4, I lived in one house that I have almost no memories in. But I heard this song and I was like, no, I heard this song in that house. Like, I had, like, a literal, like infant memory unlocked by this song because I have some parents that in this time period, of course they'd be listening to Peter Gabriel. Like I said before the chat, a poor piece of Jackie lore. I've said previously, my first 2 CDs that I owned that were, like, CDs that I would play on my speaker for myself, like, just for fun, was NSYNC, No Strings Attached, and Sugar Ray self-titled. But the first CD, the first music I ever liked that I had any sort of predilection to is More Songs from Pooh Corner by Kenny Loggins. Like, that is what my mom would play for me to go to sleep every single night. And so thus, like, I feel like that actually does, like, inform on some, like, very, very primal, like, subconscious level. Like, I was listening to slowcore earlier today and just thinking about, like, Kenny Loggins primed me for slowcore in ways I did not, like psychologically conditioning my brain to appreciate acoustic guitars like that.
I appreciate that we can go down these avenues where, like, you'll just start talking and I, like, have no idea where we're going, and then I hear a phrase that's like, Kenny Loggins primed me for slowcore, and I just gotta kind of accept that into my brain.
I mean, that sentence is the sequel to Hoobastank Shoegaze guitars in terms of Jackieisms on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's when I get so far off on a tangent that if you take my idea out of context, I sound like a fucking insane person. But I have a point, you know?
No, you do.
I mean, we're all a little crazy here.
Yeah, I was
You
even
are
saying
the person who sent in a whole manifesto about Modest Mouse pistols.
Hey,
so,
that's
like,
true.
I said it once. I said it
Listen,
again.
you're also talking to the person who sent in a manifesto about Thunder by Imagine Dragons.
Zach, I said it once. Said it again.
Lightning and the Thunder.
Not only was I having, like, a all-time personal mental illness month that month, but if you remember the timing, January 6th happened, like, right around the time I did the Pistol Manifesto.
Oh my god, you're right.
Like
Jackie.
Jackie!
It's my fault, I know. But
Did you cause that?
she was there with
Is this
Ariel
your-
Pink and John
the
Mouse.
nation... the nation was reminded of the existence of Modest Mouse Pistol, and they're like, we cannot take this anymore. We have to overthrow the government. This is the end of the world. Anyways, I'm just saying, like, that's how crazy everyone was at that time. Like, that was a period of the pandemic and like just the nation where like everyone had mental illness, and I was also going through specific personal mental illness stuff. So I am not responsible for the Pistol Manifesto. That month is like international waters of my life. Like, I was making rave DJs every single day. I was super unemployed. Like,
That was your demons. That wasn't you.
yes, exactly.
Yeah. I was going to
Your voice demons.
I was going to make another comment about this song. Well, okay, so this goes back to the joke that I wanted to say at the beginning of the podcast, but then I forgot to say it. But I'm just gonna get into it. This song, I was listening to the new Bill Callahan record yesterday multiple times, of course, and the second single that he released from that record, Natural Information, I think it was Cal 50 who made me think of this, but he said it sounded like it belonged in like a insurance commercial or whatever, and I was like, Natural Information sounds like Solsbury Hill a little bit, which leads me to my joke. I was going to make a joke about how me, Rose, and Zach are on a podcast together, so we're probably going to be talking about the new Bill Callahan record. But then we jumped into the actual topic a little too quick for me to make the joke.
I mean, this
We can save that for an FYC, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
I would listen if you do it. I'm on. I'm
Oh,
on.
of course, yeah. Ian, you've got to be on as the Bill.
I'm
Callahan
the professor.
expert.
I'm the professor of Bill Callahan. I am. Yeah.
Yeah. If there was to be an Ian's guys Mount Rushmore, Bill's one of the four heads. You know. Like,
Yeah.
He's in the elite circle of Ian guys.
Like,
yeah.
Let me think. Bill Callahan, Bonnie Prince Billy, Jason Molina, maybe?
Oh, I would put him up there. I would.
I feel we got to get one that's like an older, like John Prine, or an older, like. Or no, David Berman. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
I don't think I would put him on my Mount Rushmore. I love him very dearly, and he should be alive, but I don't know if he goes on my Mount Rushmore. I only recently got into Silver Jews. That's the thing.
Gotcha.
Like, within the past, 2 years or so. And granted, I did the same with Bonnie Prince Billy, but also, I kind of dove really deep into Bonnie Prince Billy. He, altered my brainworms a little bit. Similar to, what happened to you with Ethel Cain, I think.
I mean, honestly, Ian, the only reason why our music tastes have now diverged so much is A, I transitioned, and B, I have post Mark Kozlowick stress disorder, where
I'm so glad I never hopped on that train.
There are all of these guys that I probably could get really into due to the fact that I was a late period Mark Kozlowick defender, but I just don't spend a lot of my time listening to rambly old middle-aged dude folk music anymore for some reason.
It's okay. I mean, the worst thing about Bonnie Prince Billy is the fact that he was in an R. Kelly music video. That's about it.
Not just any, but the music video.
Yeah,
he was in the Ignition video?
What?
Was he in the video for Ignition?
No, Trapped in the Closet.
Oh my god!
And he played a cop.
Oh, that's right.
Oh god!
Yeah.
He was in Jackass 3.
He was in Jackass 3.
By the way, I got to get that obligatory Jackass is funny line.
Jackass is funny.
Jackass is funny.
We need to move on to the
funny
last song,
AF for no reason.
Finish this episode. Yeah. I was about to go on a tangent that would have.
Let's get out of here. Rose has a concert to catch. Final song on this playlist, and this is one I put on here after realizing how many songs I don't like I put on this playlist. It is "Part-Time Lover" by Stevie Wonder.
Let's go.
Yeah, this is another Rose corner, I think.
Wait, one of my guys, Stevie.
Of course.
Yeah.
I love him.
This is a recent guy for you.
Recent? I've liked him.
No,
for years.
never mind. I forgot. Prince is your deep dive now. You've been deep diving into Stevie Wonder.
I'm going in the Prince hole, but Stevie. Oh my god, Stevie.
Stevie rules.
What can you say? He's Every song, I'm just like, even if it sucks, I'm just like, this is a great time. This is a great time.
The only
Yeah.
interesting debate to have about Stevie Wonder is whether or not he's actually blind. You know, like the music
I
is
don't want
made
to.
up. Like
I don't want to engage in that discourse, though.
Let's not.
It leans into like conspiracy theory shit, and now I'm thinking about the Barney
For the record,
documentary.
he is, but only in one eye. That's my guess.
I'm just saying,
You gotta think with a big brain there.
he sits courtside at a lot of basketball games. I'm just saying. Anyways, we're
He's there
moving
because he's a
on.
celebrity.
That's like my take on the JFK assassination. That like, did the CIA kill JFK?
No, his
Yes,
head did
but
die
it
on
was
its
like
own.
an accident. They were like trying to scare him, and they're like, "Oh shit, we actually shot him in the fucking head." Oh my god!
It's somewhere in between. Yeah.
No,
But
again,
anyways,
his head just did
Jesus
that on
Christ,
its own.
how did we get from
Exactly.
Stevie Wonder to we got from Stevie Wonder to JFK so fast?
Oh, I was gonna drop another
We're in
conspiracy.
tangent mode today.
Can I drop my
Go ahead.
conspiracy?
Go ahead.
The only music conspiracy that I've kind of fallen off this train a little bit, but I still kind of believe it. I don't think Elliott Smith killed himself. I'm one of those guys.
Ooh. Okay.
I mean, I actually have heard that, like, because wasn't it like a drug deal or something that, like?
No, he had an argument with his girlfriend, and then he stabbed himself in the chest. I've never heard of somebody.
Twice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, twice. I've never heard of somebody killing themselves like that. I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to be like a it's his girlfriend's fault. I'm not one of those guys.
I had heard the same thing, but I had heard it as the theory being that it was someone that he was either like owed money to for drugs or something like that. Like that's how it. But I had never heard it framed as a relationship thing. But I've heard the same, like, how could you kill yourself by stabbing yourself twice? That just seems hard. Like you would split your wrist before you would do that, right? Like
yeah. And in the chest, that hurts. Oh my god, I hate pain.
But
I
anyway,
don't want to die
song is
painfully.
really great, guys.
Yeah, this is like, I really do like this song a whole lot. It
this is
just,
so good. I'm sorry, Stevie, for slandering.
No, it's really funny if we're like talking over this like incredibly pleasant Stevie Wonder song about like a guy getting murdered.
This is
Or
definitely
killing
one of the
himself.
best songs on the playlist. I think this is in the category of like Grace Jones, where it's almost too cool for the grocery store, but it's kind of like the curly fry in your regular fry effect of like, this is a song that's too cool. It's too cool for the grocery store, but it also fits perfectly into the aesthetic sensibilities of grocery store music, that you're just like, oh, this is a treat that Stevie Wonder has snuck his way onto this playlist, and I get to listen to the A-grade version of this instead of like the knockoff version of it.
I mean,
this
that's
is a
what's so
song
special
about how
about him
cheating
like,
is good, actually.
I mean, he flew so the weekend could later attempt to fly. You know, like.
I mean, that's what's so special about him is like he's like simultaneously like one of those people. It's just like, oh yeah, he gets talked about in a way that's like, oh, he's a virtuoso, you know, but he's not like in the insufferable type. Like when we talk about quote unquote virtuosos today, it is usually like Jacob Collier types. I hate to invoke that name here, but it's the truth.
I get what you mean. Like now it's just like an idea.
It's just
like,
guys doing craft for the sake of craft. But Stevie's just like,
Exactly.
yeah, I just made some songs. You know, I just thought they were pretty good. And like, it's like, oh yeah, you get 3 Grammys in a row for the album of the year. Like,
well, I think that is the key, is that being someone who is a musical genius and has those incredible ideas, and then is able to take that and filter it through the prism of I'm really horny. And I would like to.
for Jesus, thank you.
For Jesus, sometimes, but I think you're right that is kind of. I think a lot of people's perception of Stevie now is in this sort of like, he made songs in the key of life and these beautiful, like, life affirming, often religious songs. But he also made songs about like, I would like to have a part-time lover, you know. And I think that is. I think that's specifically, as we go back to my Prince thing about Steve Lacy, it's like that's where the Steve Lacys of the world go wrong. Like, they've got some of the right musical ideas, some of the wrong musical ideas, and then they're taking both of those and filtering it through thinking with their dick instead of their brain. And then that's how you get Stevie Wonder. That's how you get Steve Lacy albums, is like someone that's horny and has some of the musical genius necessary to think that you can be Prince or Stevie Wonder and not getting all the way there and ending up with like cringe Prince, essentially.
Cringe.
That's what Luke.
Prince.
I have to credit Luke Phillips. Is that Luke Phillips listened to the new Steve Lacy album for the first time after Bad Habit was on the charts and we were talking about it, and he's like, that he called it cringe Prince, and he said also B, he's like, I can't believe Steve Lacy made a Childish Gambino record. So that's Luke's review of the new Steve Lacy album.
Well,
anyways,
Jesus is a very important component of this playlist because, as you know, Publix is a respectable Southern institution.
Totally. But it's also this song, as we were to bring it back to the Two of Hearts point, it's like Two of Hearts, the production of that song is just so like aggressively horny that like even before you get to the actual like performance or whatever, like that's a song that just sounds like there should be a dance floor happening, whereas this song tiptoes up to that line so closely, where it's like it's about a horny topic, it's a very sexy song, but it also somehow does make sense as a store song, and it's like, how does he do it? Like it's a magic trick.
I was gonna say too, this is like sort of unrelated, but also Zach mentions Publix being a respectable Southern store, and it made me think, so I don't know about you guys, I don't know if it was a regional thing, I don't know if it was just my area, but like obviously all of these songs are very grocery store. I've very much heard these in public before, but like when I was growing up, all of the grocery stores by me played like 50s and 60s doo-wop shit. Like we were hearing like Frank Sinatra and the Supremes like going down the aisles.
Frank Sinatra, that you grew up in Jersey. That's the least surprising thing. And of course they played Frank Sinatra in the grocery store. Like, I mean,
but,
probably the fucking Four Seasons too.
I saw Frank Sinatra.
No, yeah, the Four Seasons too. Yeah,
I didn't want to bother him, but
actually, no, wait. I do have
something electrical and Confederates.
No, I have a really wild story about
Confederates.
My great grandmother actually grew up like obviously in the same area as Frank Sinatra and was set up on a blind date with him like before he
god, that
famous.
Really?
Yeah, and she said he was an asshole.
I mean, is anyone surprised by learning that information? I don't think so.
No, not at all.
While we're on the topic of Stevie, I just wanted to say that the other Stevie song that I would nominate as a potential storecore song is Signed, Sealed, Delivered, I'm Yours. Like, I think that's the other one that really works in this context, because that's like, going back to what you're saying about you can absolutely take storecore back to the roots of like doo-wop and stuff like that being in an earlier iteration of storecore before we get into this very 80s inflected early 90s inflected version of storecore that we're kind of talking about on this episode. Like stuff like that in that kind of soul era does have there are a lot of essentials from that era too that have sustained to this day as storecore staples. Like if you hear Seinfeld Delivered on Yours tomorrow, that's still gonna fucking go off.
First, I misheard you, and I thought you said Seinfeld delivered, and I'm like,
Seinfeld did deliver. You know, it was a great show. You get a good episode every week.
Anyway, my final thoughts on the matter. Everyone should go listen to Intervisions. That's a pretty good record.
Yeah, Stevie Wonder good, turns out.
Yeah.
You never would have thunk it.
We're charting new ground here on the Indieheads podcast.
As we're getting to the end of this episode, we're wrapping things up. Let's talk about some should have beens real quickly. I mean, we could obviously do another episode on this, and probably will, because I know Rosie has to go. But like Last Christmas Wham, obviously that's just a Christmas time staple, and so it doesn't really make sense for a year round. But that's another song musically that's like right in this fucking zone. I'm looking at the CVS Bangers playlist here, but if I could turn back time, Cher is an obvious one. What else? Oh, there was another one. Oh fuck. A Little Respect by Erasure, and also Physical by Olivia Newton-John. Those were two that I was like, oh fuck yes. Physical especially was just like, that would go the fuck off in a grocery store.
Yeah. My only strong opinion for a should have been, and I know Zach was going off of his own personal experience, but like I'm still disappointed. Like you're the other George Michael head on this podcast right now, and we didn't get any George on this playlist, but Freedom 90 is like the essential, like I heard this song in public song, but
that's a good call.
Specifically for grocery shopping or just department stores. Like it's very much a CVS grocery shopping kind of song.
His duet with Aretha Franklin was a hard cut from this one. It was very difficult, but I had to keep it concise.
Yeah, I mean, the Aretha Franklin duet is... I've also heard the Queen duet in Public before. That's another big one.
I would also say another artist that very much could have been represented on this playlist, particularly with the number one hit of theirs, Foreigner, particularly I Want to Know What Love Is.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
that
yeah.
would have made perfect sense on this playlist.
And in that same vein, Heaven is a Place on Earth by Belinda Carlisle. Definitely a bit of a snub.
I mean, this is a deep and wide genre. You know, as we've sort of gotten into, there are even like iterations on this, and the difference between what you're going to hear in a department store versus what you're going to hear in a grocery store versus what you're going to hear in a CVS. You know, like these are slightly different but overlapping Venn diagram circles.
And then when you think about bowling alleys, I'm an expert on the bowling alley genre. If we want to,
location music has just been one of a great topic of ours this year. I really love it. Like ever since water park music, I'm just like fascinated with the idea of musical genres based on what stores they would play in. Because now all store music sucks, you know. Like not to be whatever, get off my lawn kids about it, but like store music doesn't have swag anymore in the era of Spotify.
All right, Rose is gesturing us to wrap it up. I will quickly wrap it up and say that I could have included a song from The Greatest Showman on this playlist, but I didn't. You're all welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. I really appreciate
what
it.
if that movie were called The Greatest Snowman and they had like the little notes from the snowman in there? Just
oh my god!
Or it was about Colonel Tom Parker doing snow jobs because he was the snowman, of course.
All right, that's the end of the episode. But I do,
Mr. Barnum,
before we go, shout out to my boy Kenny. Danger Zone. That was the other song that could fit this playlist.
I will return to appear again on possibly the greatest episode we will ever have, where we talk about Always. That's all I have to say.
Yes.
Oh fuck yes! Speaking of songs that rock out, Always, Danger Zone and Always. I'm always thinking of them together.
All right.
Thank you so much, Rose. I hope we didn't keep you too long. Go get to your concert.
No, don't worry.
Have fun with Stereo Lab, Rose. Bye.
All right, that'll wrap it up. We'll see y'all next week for another episode, and bye-bye.
And as always, thank you for shopping at Publix.
There we go.